What's going on, y'all? It's about to be September, which means that we are that much closer to the start of the NBA season, man. Every single year, it's just like, man, when will it get here? It's coming. And it also helps just because my channel, it's like, what am I going to talk about besides this Kyrie stuff? So I got a topic. This is something I've been thinking about for a while. It's a topic that, we hear about every free agency, I would say. And it's just about loyalty, and is loyalty overrated, especially these days? I know that the NBA through time, I guess the norms have totally flipped, and we're seeing more of these players trying to team up. I mean, that's really what there's so much emphasis on that, right? I mean, super teams is the word that we use for it, and whether you call LeBron joining the Heat or super team, it's fine. We all know what that move was for. LeBron was not content with his spot in Cleveland, with the way that the GMs were dealing with his situation and his goals, because he wanted that team to win a championship. They weren't getting him anything, so he wanted to get one with another team that was better equipped for that. And by those standards, it seems like, well, if you're in a situation that you're not happy with, there's no reason for you to stay in a spot. And when it comes to loyalty, my opinion is pretty simple. Loyalty is something that you should have. You should expect to have. That if you're on a team for a long time and you're the star of that player, you should feel a responsibility to cater to that franchise because they've given you so much. They've given you this role. If they helped you become this player that you are, I'm really talking about players that are drafted to a team and made into a star. That's really where loyalty starts, because you don't really hear about loyalty when it comes to these, bench players or role players. Some of the time you do, but most often it's the stars. The stars are the ones that are responsible for loyalty, and almost every time it's the stars that were drafted to the team that they're on. Once you've left the team, loyalty isn't as important, I would say, because now you're one of these guys that you can head different places. Unless you're like a big name, like LeBron or Kevin Durant or someone like that, a huge name where you're expected no matter where you are to be the franchise player, the optimal goal for the franchise. Get what I'm saying? So personally, I would love to see loyalty from franchise players. I want to see them stay where they are for enough time for them to figure out if that team can cater to their needs, to figure out if they're satisfied with what that team's front office has done for their cause. Their cause is likely, look, I want you to put players around me that fit. I want you to treat me like a star, acknowledge my value. Give me the max contract, because we're talking about a star. The star, a franchise player, has got to have the max contract, right? And, make good decisions in order to win a championship or to build that team around me. That's what I'm thinking as, if I'm the star, this is what I want out of my front office. And look, if the front office is completely mailing it in, they're not getting you anyone. I'm talking about LeBron James' situation. I think LeBron's completely justified for leaving Cleveland. A lot of people don't like that he joined the Miami Heat because it was a quote-unquote super team. People think it's a cop-out. Some people do. But for me, I think look, at the time, maybe it was tough just because of the way he did it. But LeBron James is entitled to leave that franchise, I think, if they're doing what they did to him. And if you don't know, that team gave LeBron almost nobody good to play with. Nobody that really fit his play style enough. I mean, the shooters, they might have been there, but in terms of skilled players, in terms of other stars, in terms of, guys that he wanted around him, they weren't there. They didn't do their job, and he was there for a long time, and he was carrying that squad. They won 17 games the year after he left. After, they'd been having 60-win seasons over there before he left, and they were down to 17 after. That's just how much it tells you about what his value to that team was. And he goes to the Heat, and my problem with the super team or the player leaving his home team is if he goes to a team that's too overpowered. So the whole Kevin Durant situation is something that I've talked about a lot. I've made videos on it. I've referenced it a ton of times. Kevin Durant almost completely ruined my interest in the NBA. And that's not to say I don't like the NBA anymore, but let's just say I was a lot more excited for it before. Now I'm just like, well, we can expect the Warriors to win the championship unless, someone gets hurt. And I always hear everybody talking about how Kevin Durant's a snake, and he's not loyal, and he's really disloyal. And the thing about Kevin Durant is that the snake thing isn't even the worst part. It's just about where he decided to go with it. If Kevin Durant had left and joined the Celtics, I probably would have been happier because we would have gotten more parity in the Eastern Conference, which in result makes the NBA more entertaining for me to watch. A fan standpoint, I like that. But Kevin Durant, loyalty, no, he didn't have any because he didn't tell anybody he was leaving. He just left, and he had a responsibility to hold up in that city. And a lot of people might not understand this with star players. You might think, well, why can't they just go wherever you want? If you're a star player, role players can jump on any team's bandwagon. And this is a question that I hear a lot, but it's just because as a star player, you are treated like royalty. You are the team. You represent a team. When you become a franchise player, that team is you. When people think of the Cleveland Cavaliers, it's just LeBron James. He holds a responsibility, and that is to be the leader of that team. And when the leader just dips out because he couldn't lead them past a 3-1 lead and joins the team that came back from it, it's just an awful thing. And yeah, I'm reiterating the same thing I've been saying for months. Kevin Durant blew a 3-1 lead and then went to the team that, I know it's terrible and it's never going to not be terrible, but everybody's already heard that. So when we talk about loyalty, this is something that I think can make or break the NBA atmosphere. Loyalty. Because if you make that good draft pick, and you treat them right, and you develop them into a great player, and you do the right things, you shouldn't deserve to get stabbed in the back about it. And look, you can't blame the Thunder for drafting Russell Westbrook and Kevin Durant. Those were two great picks. If they don't work out together that well, look, that's not the GM's fault. That's maybe the coach's fault, because I don't know if Scott Brooks was really doing anything about that, but the situation wasn't all that great between them. And look, I don't think that that's an excuse either. I don't think that you can be like, oh, well, Kevin Durant didn't want to play with Russell Westbrook. Well, they were good enough to get to the finals. They were good enough to be up 3-1 against a 73-win team. They just couldn't finish. And the blame is on both of them for that. But they obviously were capable. If you can get up 3-1 in a series, you are 100% capable of winning that series. So, as far as that's concerned, if KD was a loyal player, he wouldn't have even thought about leaving because he knows what this team can accomplish. But it's a selfish decision because Kevin Durant doesn't care about the team, he cares about himself. And he's thinking to himself, oh man, what if I don't win any rings? What if I'm one of those guys that goes down in history and is like, great player, but he didn't get a ring? What if I'm Charles Barkley or Karl Malone or Allen Iverson? And so he leaves and he gets the ring because he's scared of his legacy. I mean, that's pretty much what I think it is. And it all comes down to Kevin Durant because now other players feel like they're able to do something like this. If Kevin Durant did it, it opens the path. And it's just like LeBron. People will not like me saying this, but LeBron kind of did promote this behavior. I'm not going to say that he started it because it's not like another star hasn't joined 2 or more other stars in a city before. But LeBron James did it on a greater scale than we'd probably seen in a while. And LeBron James, knowing how great of a player he was, how big time of a player he was, everybody saw that. Everybody knew about that. Everybody remembers that like it was yesterday pretty much. And that was something that, players remember. And Kevin Durant doing this, players are going to remember that. And the problem with it is that it's going to create a wave of, we got to join a super team. We're not loyal to our... And look, I'm not generalizing because I know there's a ton of NBA players that want to win a championship for their city. They're loyal. I'm talking about guys like Damian Lillard and Marc Gasol and Blake Griffin and Dirk and guys like that they want to be where they are. And that's great. That's what you need. And you might be like, oh, well, Damian Lillard and Marc Gasol aren't going to win anything. Players like that just leave and they're just selling out they're just, folding under the pressure of, oh, I don't want to be that guy without a ring, instead of being a loyal player that, at least is going to be a leader, at least is going to go down as somebody that is more loyal to the cause. And I think the big problem here is probably the fact that fans are weighing rings so heavily in general in basketball, whether it be the guys you see on TV or your casual NBA fans or just anybody that talks about basketball. You gotta have rings, because when you think about the all-time greats, you gotta have rings. If Damian Lillard joins the Warriors and wins a ring, he's now a more relevant player than he was before, and people will hate him for it, but he has a ring, so apparently he can be mentioned in that all-time great category. If you win a ring, no matter what the circumstance is, you're apparently just held to this so much higher standard, despite the fact that that ring may have been cheap. And I'm talking about Kevin Durant. And yeah, the objective is to win the ring, but you don't take the easy way out. You don't do that. You're placed in a position, and if you don't like the way it's handled, you can leave. But just don't take the easy way out. Don't make the NBA trash. I don't know. I feel like I'm just going in circles here. Overall, I guess I would say loyalty is not overrated. I think that loyalty is... I personally love loyalty. I think it's great. I think that's what we need more of. But players are more hesitant to do that. Whether it be, they don't like their front offices or their coaches, or they're hungry for that ring. I don't know what it is, but players in general aren't feeling that as much. You don't get a lot of players that just stay with one team their whole career. I really respect that, by the way, but hey, the players aren't playing for my respect. Let's just say that. That's going to do it. Like if you enjoy, subscribe if you're new, and I'm out. Thanks for watching, y'all. Peace. Let me know what you think about this in the comments, by the way. Peace.